All right, hello everybody. We're getting a little bit of a late start. I do apologize for that. You may notice that we are not in the same place as we were the last time that we got together and had our little adventures here in the lands of Schult. That's because Lord Scritch the Goodly and I, aka Danny, and I have and Nova. I'm sorry. The three of us have purchased a new domicile, and so last week was spent getting all of that taken care of and getting moved in here. So the place is still a little bit of a wreck, but we do have our dungeon up and running, and we are ready and so happy to have you guys here with us. We do have most of the regulars here with us. We are missing a couple. Nat is home with Fussy Baby, and Kyrie is not with us this evening. Hopefully we will have all of them back next week so that we can have the whole gang together. Just some regular announcements before we get started. As always, we do have our full slate of back episodes up on our YouTube channel. Feel free to jump in there and
we have picture in picture in picture.
Yep.
well, no, it's only two. It's only picture in picture.
I'm sure there's more if we could see more.
Well, I'm sure, but we're not going to.
We have to go
We do have all of our back episodes on the YouTube channel. Feel free to drop by, take a look at those, get caught up. No recaps yet, but we have a new house, so maybe at some point there will be time, before the end of the campaign.
It's not.
And if we don't get to them by the end of the campaign, we'll do them for the next campaign.
No.
Maybe. We do also have our Discord server up and running. That is the Happy Little Dungeon, much like the Happy Little Dungeon that we find ourselves playing in now. It is, in fact, the very stereotypical basement that we are now playing in, guys. So lots of fun stuff. Information about the goings on of this channel, of Danny's channel, of Kyrie's channel. We do also have the in-character tavern where any characters you have from any system can interact with any others. We thought that was kind of a cool idea.
Yeah, we'll get back to that probably after this weekend, you guys. There's not been a lot of tavern action because moving. So
Right.
Sorry.
Right. So we've been a little bit busy. One final thing that we're going to do. You may have seen us at the top of the show last time. Show off some of the artwork from our lovely Chipper Snacks. I'm not sure if she is in the stream yet. I'm sure she's going to show up at some point. If you want some of that lovely merch, that is where you go. It's a Redbubble site that she's got set up. You can find that little hammer with our slogan on it. If you have a hammer, everything looks like everything is a glass house. Yeah, something along those lines. I will get to it. I will remember it before we get to the end of the session tonight. That being said, it has been a couple of weeks, but we left our party in somewhat of a precarious situation. Who would like to tell us how you guys got where you got?
Are we dead again?
Yeah, Clara. How did we get where we are?
Nate,
Not my fault.
I think it comes to you. So if you would,
Okay.
sir.
So last time,
On Dragon Ball Z.
Last time on These Idiots in the Jungle.
yes,
It's in the jungle.
we were hunkering down for the night, and freaking plants again. They got the better of us, and we eventually beat them off. But well.
Sorry.
Barely. We're 12 years old.
Yeah,
Yeah.
12-year-old boys.
So
Self-included.
we fought them pretty good, and
And then one might say we got caught with our pants down.
yeah.
One
So-
might say that.
around our
Yes,
cities?
so we were fighting, and there was a lot of them. We took a lot of damage, and oopsie on my part.
What was your part?
I cast Shatter and got everybody but the plants.
Yep, he tried to kill us all.
Hey, to be fair,
So-
that was effective.
Yeah.
And
Hey, it worked better than anyone else's idea.
But,
I'm gonna disagree with that.
What did
Oh,
you
yeah.
do?
I saved everyone.
So, but we got everybody out.
probably for better.
And just when we thought we were safe for the moment, we found ourselves surrounded by 20 Yuan Tis? And they all have bows pointed at us, completely surrounded. And yeah, we're gonna die again.
We're gonna die again.
Was there anything else that stood
Um,
out from the session for you guys? Anybody else?
Yeah, Clara.
Are
What
no
would you like to
takers
share?
here?
A couple of jade rings. There was some scouting done.
Yes.
Into the Red Wizards of Thay.
Oh, that's true.
We saw. We heard that the scouting party that we had encountered previously had gotten back. And so the Red Wizards of Thay have been informed that they're down a cube. And
But
that-
up a cube. Then they found another cube.
Right, yeah, they found one, but also they lost one. And so they are aware of our presence. And 2 jade rings came back with the scout, who may have been stepped on and died.
Clara, for the last couple episodes, have just slowly been going down
Not
with the
that
effects.
steep, but a little.
Yes, that's
Less and less of an asset, more and more of a liability.
yes.
But
Which
she
is
did
pretty much
save
everyone else in the party.
everyone who went down last game.
That is true.
True.
Yeah.
Although, there is,
Although-
side note, I didn't actually do that as well as I should have, because technically when Clara heals you when you're at 0 hit points, you get max healing, but
Oh,
Steven kind of forgot that, so...
I can't say anything.
Learn
it's
what
fine.
your class does.
Read your
Read your
spells.
spells.
Read your
I
spells.
have none. I just hit with a hammer.
Okay. Anyway, I think that was the
I
biggest...
think that's the gist of it.
Yeah, the biggest part of it.
No, well, we did visit the temple, but we didn't go into it because we were like too low of health and no one has spells.
And it didn't,
Yes.
if I remember right, it didn't look like the right kind of temple.
Yes,
Like, there was
that's
no
right.
writing above the door.
Well, no,
They
there
found
was
writing.
there was
Oh, no,
writing,
that's right.
but Sploof didn't read it,
Because at the moment, Sploof was guiding a rat.
Right.
Yeah.
and then at that
Prior
point we
to-
decided let's go heal.
Let's go heal.
Well, everyone, yeah.
So how did that work for you guys?
Ambush.
Hey, I'm doing great. I'm at like 41 hit points.
I mean, I'm at 36 hit points.
I'm about half, so not too bad.
Oh! And the Acorn Queen does remind you that you guys did see the writing.
We saw
Yeah, we saw
Yes.
it.
We saw it.
You saw it, just
Saw it,
didn't translate it, didn't do anything with it. Wound up getting, bamboozled by bamboo.
No.
Uh,
Down.
DM jokes. You have to laugh or you'll die.
Yep. Yes. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. So,
Like,
anyway.
It's not actually a related campaign thing, or I would totally give you inspiration for that. Because I enjoyed it.
All
so
right.
We can't use our new level until we get a good long rest.
Right.
Spells
So,
or health?
spells, and both, really.
Okay.
Yeah. So you guys are still, hurting pretty hard. So I did let the players know at the end of the last session that they'd hit a milestone and they had been able to level up.
Hit a milestone.
However,
That's
there was a catch.
And planters.
Oh, hello, the Law Daddy Bringer. Welcome
Law
and welcome
Daddy
for the
Bringer.
follow. Thank you for the
Name.
follow.
I'm enjoying that name, sir.
Any fellow paladins in the party? We do not have any paladins
There
with
was
this
one,
group.
right?
No.
There used to be.
There used to be.
Play like a paladin.
Yeah.
Paladin.
Used to be, but wasn't Seth a paladin? Or no?
he's a fighter.
Just a straight fighter? Okay. So no, we actually have not had a paladin this campaign. We had one in the last one.
Next campaign, I'm hoping we're all just going to be your religious zealots. All
Yeah.
clerics, all paladins.
We started
couple
this one with no
celestial-
healers, so next time we'll all play healers.
So
I think that's probably what's gonna happen.
the current situation is dire. Our party is bloody and beaten, and having just fought off assassin vines that snuck up on them in the night.
And
And
side note, you could
and-
have just died and we would have never known.
she could have died, and the rest of you could have died too.
Well, no, when
He's talking
she could
about
no
scouting.
when
Oh,
she scouted
scouting.
invisibly.
Oh yeah, that's true.
If she went in there, she would have just got.
Okay. So the situation is relatively dire. Our party is bloody and beaten up after having dealt with assassin vines in the jungles of Schult. They fought them off, managed to get out of the infested ruin that they had sought shelter in, shall we say, and found themselves surrounded and outnumbered badly by Yuan Ti. So, you guys are surrounded.
Of course we are.
Yeah.
What do you do?
I'm going to sheath my sword.
Okay.
How does that work?
I have a sheath for it. I made one when we first got it.
Because
Okay.
he couldn't poof it out when he first had it.
That's true.
All right. So,
I'll put my hammer down.
I just raised
On the ground,
my
you
hands.
all right.
Long story short, we're surrendering.
Okay.
Yeah.
So you guys are taking the opportunity to surrender. Clara's got that look in his eye. Her eye.
It's. no, I don't think I will do anything yet.
Okay.
Don't say yet.
Yeah, that's the awkward word.
At this point, if you do anything, I won't do anything. You can just get yourself.
So Bright Paw is just still sort of hands on her knees, panting heavily, and she's gonna put her hands up and just sort of surrender as well, as will Azaka and your sister.
Thanks, probably will too.
Yeah, Nyx will as well. So that Meyer, are you following the group, or are you gonna?
Please.
Are you gonna be? Are you gonna be that guy?
No, I'm a good guy. I know.
Sorry, just how you were like,
Okay.
I'm a good guy.
You're a good guy.
Like,
Awesome.
forcing
Yeah.
the statement.
Yeah. Okay. All
We
right.
might be stupid, but we are not suicidal.
All right.
Today.
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 All right.
I won't sacrifice anyone today.
All right.
Thanks for that.
So, out of the group of the Yuan Ti, 2 or 3 of them come forward, and they bring out manacles and start manacling you guys, hands and feet. Not enough that you're going to be hampered walking, but enough that you're not going to be able to run fast. They. Yeah, hands in front. They do also take the opportunity to make sure that fingers for the spellcasters are intertwined so that you're not able to cast the obvious spellcasters.
What's the person
That's actually not
wearing
me.
the bizarre, like, little shroud?
So that'll be Clara. That'll be Sploof. That will be you as well. They know what bards can do.
I just think. And
Yeah. The next thing they do is they pull sort of rough burlap sacks over all of your heads so that you can't see. And then before they take you and start to move you, they also take all of your gear.
Good luck carrying mine.
There's 20 of them. They can divide it up. It's easy enough to do.
So do they take armor?
Yes.
that's gonna take a really
no.
time. We're gonna be here for hours. just
So
taking
armor, weapons, packs.
How long does it take for them to do all this?
There's many hands making light work, not nearly as long as you think.
By the way, when they take my weapon, it disappears.
Of course it does. Yes, and there's a little bit of consternation at that fact. A whispered sort of conversation that you can't understand because it is in essentially parcel tongue, and they come back to you, and then they bind your hands as well. You guys can't see, but you can kind of hear that Nyx is lifted off of Sunshine, and Sunshine is bound, sounds like is bound up as well. You're not real sure how that's going to work, but it sounds like that's what they're doing.
I was about to say, if like we hear Nyx get it, be brought off Sunshine, and then just like.
No, they don't do that, but they do bind him in some way. You're not real sure how because blindfolded. Once all of that's done, and it's probably only taken about 10 to 15 minutes for all of that because there are so many of them. You guys are roped together and led off into the city.
Point of order, when you say Yuan Ti, there's lots of different types of Yuan Ti. Are these all purebloods or?
No. There are purebloods. There are Malazones as well, all different types. So it's a pretty it's a pretty good smattering of what you might see. For those of you who have not seen Yuan Ti before, and that's most of you, there are the purebloods are mostly human appearing. They could pass for human if you weren't, if you're not looking at them carefully. Those are the ones that for Nyx would stand out as more humanoid than anything else. They're the ones that she could track because of her ranger abilities. The others are very much not. They're I forget what they are. They're not abominations, I don't think. Monstrosities, yeah, I believe that's what they are.
They're the ones with the snake.
They have snake features, so snake heads instead of human heads, snake arms, or from the waist down, they are snakes.
Their arms are snakes?
Yes, their arms are snakes.
Snakes don't have arms.
Yes, they are. So the type 1 has a human body with the snake head. The type 2 has a human head and body with snakes for arms. And the type 3 has a human head and upper body with a serpentine lower body instead of legs. So yes. And they are monstrosities, yes. There are also in and amongst them about 2 or 3 abominations, which are just, they look like giant snakes with arms. So a lot of really nasty, unnatural stuff going on around you guys. So you guys are tied together, one after the other, so that you can be led, and you are led off into the city.
While we are being led, I'm going to try and keep track. Having seen the city,
Okay.
gotten a really good look at it from the cliff, I'm going to try and mentally gauge where we are.
Don't you have
the
cartography?
path we're
Aren't you
on.
proficient with cartography tools?
I am,
Then that would work.
but
No,
I can't use them.
you can't use his tools.
But I mean, like, you would mentally know.
I will give you a survival check at disadvantage.
So we're walking in a line. Where are we compared to the Yantis? Like in the middle?
You don't know for sure. It sounds like, yeah, you're in the middle of the group.
17.
17? It's tough. it's tougher than you would have thought possible with it, just because, and you get the sense that they're trying to maybe even hide exactly where they're going by snaking around things, so to speak. But you get the sense that where they're leading you is the large circular structure on the western part of the city. Now, you're not sure exactly where they're leading you to in that structure. You just know that that's sort of the direction you're headed. Takes about half an hour or so of walking, mostly because they are, winding their way through the city. At one point, you feel, each of you feel the earth, the dirt underneath your feet give way to what feels like maybe some sort of, maybe a fallen tree or something like that. And you hear the sound of water flowing by underneath you. At that point, it does sort of go. It narrows down to single file. So there's half the group goes ahead of you guys, then it's you, and then the other half comes along behind you across the path. And then you're led back, led through the city, and about a half an hour later, you wind up somewhere else. You feel the ground beneath you again give way, this time to cobblestones. And you start down a sloped ramp, and you feel the sun disappear.
Towards the end of this, before going underground or wherever, can we hear the waterfall?
No.
Okay.
I'm sorry.
Other one.
That one you can. Yeah. So you can hear a waterfall. Yes.
Once we start going underground, I'm going to try and do the same thing, but I'm going to try and pay less attention to where we are and more attention to the number of turns and what directions.
Okay. All right. I will again take a survival check at disadvantage.
I don't know if we have time, have we?
What's that?
For Hemorrhoid to be back?
No.
Did I not recast him before?
No.
Oh, no.
Because you needed another spell
That's
slot.
right, that's right.
21.
Okay.
I have an idea.
No.
Oh, did it hurt?
All right.
Suddenly we pulled the spawn egg
Well-
of the T-Rex, the polymorph T-Rex.
My hands are bound, but my mouth is not.
Yeah, so anything that does not require
Verbal.
somatic. Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Anything that doesn't require somatic and material.
Mm-hmm. I got one.
Okay.
There's actually you'd be surprised, there is a big list of verbal only spells.
Yes.
Not a list of good idea spells, though.
Of course.
But should I do it now or should I wait?
I think we need to survive.
All right. So there's only once you're underground, you do hear the sound of stone grating on stone from left and right, and it sounds quite heavy, quite substantial. It opens in front of you and then closes behind you. Almost immediately past that, you take a left. And that's the only turn you take once you're under there. You pass through a somewhat larger room, and a bitter, coppery smell assaults your senses. And you do hear a bound figure writhing on stone. Right before there is a thud of metal into flesh.
Ooh.
Oh.
And then the movement stops.
I just imagine we all actually made that sound.
No.
You're led a few paces further into what sounds like maybe a somewhat smaller room. And there is the sound of creaking metal from the floor in 4 spots. And you're each thrown into pits. The lids close over you, and you are imprisoned.
Bags over our heads still?
The bags are still over your heads.
Pulling them off.
The bags are still over your heads. Yes.
Yep, taking it off.
Are we still bound as well?
You are still bound, yes.
Okay.
Keith,
Yes,
I assume these manacles are made of metal.
they are.
Heat metal.
As soon as the
I'm going my own way out.
As soon as the bag is off, how thick are the links?
Very substantial.
And what kind of metal are they made of? Alright,
Metal.
while they're all doing whatever, I'm gonna try and see how pliable or brittle the metal is.
What are you doing? What you trying to do
I
there?
would probably,
So as each of you gets the hoods off, you will see that you're not all together.
Who's with who?
Sploof,
Let's write this down.
you are with Elias.
Okay, good. I have the glass cannon.
The glass cannon. Thanks.
Meyer.
actually be good for you.
I know.
Meyer, you are with Nyx and Azaka.
Yay!
Clara, you are with Katarina. And I'm trying to remember who
Is
else.
Sunshine with me?
No. And Gideon, you are with Brightpaw.
What if something happens with Sunshine? Nix is gonna
So they
murder
took
me.
everything?
Okay.
Everything.
Like we're naked?
You're not naked,
Close
but
to
you
it.
but close enough. I mean, they stripped you down to basically, they stripped you down to whatever would be not.
As a side note,
Not
I still have
dangerous.
this other going.
Oh, so you floated down to the bottom?
How long was that gonna last?
10 days.
Oh,
A long time.
yep. That you're right. So when they shoved you over, you started floating down, and you hear sort of the consternation and the hissing as they watch you just sort of float down. Your cell door might have slammed a little bit harder than the rest.
Alrighty. Am I able to get my fingers free?
No.
So that was my next question. How are our fingers? Like they bound our fingers together.
Mm-hmm.
How?
It seems like they had. Seems like they're fairly used to dealing with spellcasters. They had. They've got leather sacks binding your hands, at the wrists, so you can't pull them out necessarily,
Okay.
or easily, I should say.
Are we being watched?
Doesn't seem like it.
I have just one question. Let's see. Where is it? What is the original purpose of this building?
All we can see is
Hey, let me have my home moment. This is the one thing I can do.
The
The architecture.
You're not real sure about the building, but these are these are not slave pens. These are dungeons. These are places where you keep prisoners that you're not real sure what you're going to do with yet.
The holding cells.
Yes.
So Clara is going to lean down and just check in her sock to see if something was found. Something that she would have learned from her husband.
What?
Is to see if her lockpicks are thieves' tools.
Okay.
Bright is doing the same thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, did they take my component coverage?
Yes.
Okay, so they took my component off, so I just have verbal and somatic.
Hey, Braden, come here for a second.
Ooh, I'm so sorry.
Yes, it was found. There was a natural 20.
Was Bright's.
Yes.
Oh,
How deep are these pits?
They are. Well, let me find out. Let me remember because it has been a minute since I read
and,
this
how
chapter.
wide are the bars? Like, trying to escape?
I'm
Or...
just
So they are 10 feet deep and 10 feet in diameter. The pits are flooded. They're also flooded to a depth of 3 feet.
Oh, so we're in water.
Yes.
Oh, Sploof. Is Sploof taller than 5
Do
3 feet?
goblins float?
Yo, flip.
Yes, but you're not real comfortable being in water.
Dwarves are like what,
Is
4
it
feet
gross
tall?
water?
Oh, very.
It could be worse.
Well, it's not just water.
And a goblin.
And blood? Or...
Yes,
Equal matters.
and yeah, it's pretty awful because it's
Why?
pretty awful.
There's like no
Eh,
bedding, no cots.
What's that?
No bedding, no cots.
Bedding cots?
I mean, like
Nope.
something, but okay.
It's a pit. Like an armpit. But worse.
Oubliette.
Oubliette.
Sploof, if you want, you can get on my shoulders. Dude, not drown.
Okay.
Okay. So even though it's
Three of the
nasty
shoulders.
and all that stuff, I'm going to lean against the wall and attempt a rest.
Yeah, so I'm gonna yell out in Dwarven. Loud enough that I would assume the other people in the pits could hear me.
I know that spell. Spell? Language.
We should all probably get a rest. See what we can do about getting out of here in the morning.
If they let us sleep that long.
Right.
Agreed.
Oh, yeah. Mm-hmm.
I am, however, going to Misty step out of my cuffs.
Just Misty step out of the... Not yet.
But then I get the spell slot back after my rest.
If you get that.
But how do you think they get us out?
Yeah, what happens if they come and find you out?
I just put my hands back in the bag.
Like the leg ones.
Oh, the
Like that's my
ones.
thing, is if they find you not in your manacles, I don't think they're gonna take that.
Save
time.
the escape for when we escape. We're sleeping.
Just waiting, like, see, I got out.
I could throw myself at their feet and be like, Masters!
I mean, that would be a Sploof thing to
That could
Yes.
work, I don't know. I'm gonna get comfy.
As comfy as you can in 3 feet of water at the bottom of a 10-foot pit.
Are these the ones that have the sploof? Or I don't
I
think
don't
it wasn't these
We
guys
have-
that
we have
the
no
sploof.
idea.
Yeah, we don't know, but
We saw
You
the
have
undead
no
with
idea.
them.
yes.
How is Katharina looking?
She's looking a little worse for the wear, obviously from the vines still. But you get the sense that for that, you know, she's seen some stuff in the world, and so she's like,
Yeah, it's Tuesday.
yeah, pretty much. It's like, yeah, okay.
Not the first time.
Not the first time, won't be the last time. I'll figure this out.
Okay, then I will cast Healing Word on her.
Okay.
She will one D4.
I shall
Why are D4s so hard to pick up?
I don't know.
Like, alright, she will gain 6 hit points back.
Because then you more vigor and you have a projectile.
They're called
Yeah.
caltrops. Okay. All right.
I'd like to roll my d4.
As you guys are in your pits, you do hear sort of the sound of other activity.
I don't remember if I asked, did they get, no, yes, never mind, I asked, never mind. Asked.
What were you
I
going to
was gonna ask
ask?
something about Bright Paw, but I remembered I answered my own question.
Yeah, yep. They got all of it. So you do hear the sounds of other. It sounds like possibly some other prisoners, residents of the dungeons. Sound like the clanking of chains, moaning, the usual. Yeah. There is also the faint hum of activity in the rest of wherever you are in this place. So, yeah,
There's a map.
there is a map.
Oh, joy. I can see this.
So, yeah.
Well, I
So
don't
so you
like
guys
listening on
are
the road.
in the. So you guys are in those pits.
Okay.
Well, yes, the pits of despair.
We go to bed?
Yeah, I'm taking a short rest.
Attempting to
rest.
rest.
Okay.
Or long, depending. If we
Uh,
get it.
So you guys aren't there more than about an hour or so.
Rats. Keith, this is very important for me. Is it an hour or about an hour? It makes a very big difference.
I'm gonna say an hour and a half. That's about an hour.
It's 59 minutes and 30 seconds. No, it's an hour.
Okay, so I get my short rest.
You get your short rest.
We get a short rest.
Alright.
I assume it's an hour for everybody.
Yeah, it'll be an hour for everybody, so that'll be a short rest for everybody.
Hey, sorry,
Well,
Push
just
it back.
cuddled up with Katerina to keep warm because the water will be bad for our health.
Okay.
Why do I even bother?
So,
So as you're sort of huddled there for warmth, you feel Katerina's hands sort of cup your bum. She's not very sly about it at all.
Oh,
Never
for the
mind,
love
let's go
of...
away. Your sister's a skink.
We did have a long rest to get our level.
I mean, she
Yes.
slept with an undead person. The
I have
guide.
Song of Rest for our allies. Would everybody be close enough to be able to do that?
What's the range on it?
So,
And do you have to be able to see them?
honestly, I don't know. It's a board thing. So,
Should I use all my
Just do one.
spell slot hit dice?
Short rest.
I'll use one more.
You can use as many of your hit die as you want. You only get half your hit die back the
For a
next
long
long
rest.
rest.
Right.
But you can
Song
use as
Rest
many of
gives
them.
you one extra. Oh, one
Song-
free.
Yeah, Song of Rest gives everyone like a free. It's either one free or 1d6.
it says anyone who can hear my singing.
So yeah, everyone in the sound of your voice in that room
Okay.
would be able
so
to do so.
Please.
That'd be 1d6.
No, they get their hit dice back, I think.
No, it's 1d6.
Everyone gets an extra d6.
Okay.
Yeah. So,
All right then. So everyone takes another d6 of healing.
that's a 6.
Sweet!
Everybody gets 6 more.
Everybody gets 6 more.
All right.
65 out of 89.
I'm still not too happy about it.
So,
I mean,
right
none of
at
us
half.
are.
Does anything happen after our short rest?
Like what?
Sorry, 1 hour.
Oh yeah. So after an hour, you do hear sounds above you, and hooks are attached to the. You hear the sound of hooks being attached to the gates on your pits, and you hear the sounds of chains being pulled over pulleys to pull the gates open, and they open up. Snakeheads peer over each pit,
Hey.
and they throw down, or they lower down hooks, and sort of motion as best they can, putting hands over the hooks.
Do they have? Does it look like they have bows with them?
Yes. Bows and scimitars.
I'm gonna do as I'm told for
Do as I'm told.
Okay.
Of course.
Okay.
Katerina. Your turn.
It is somewhat painful because you're being lifted by your shoulders.
Yeah.
Not enough to do any damage, but you're going to be a little bit sore if you ever get out of here.
Just grab onto the thing to make it easier on the way.
Okay.
Just another pain
Woohoo.
in this torturous existence of running through Chold. Yes.
And so you are all lifted out of your pits and into the dungeon room
How
there.
many Yuan Ti are in this room?
There are half a dozen in the room, but you can also see outside the room, past the door, you can see another 10 or 12.
So more than I can take at once.
Yes. Yes.
All of
It's
those.
by yourself.
Yeah.
Sort of behind the obvious guards, there is there's a Yuan Ti pureblood standing, and he's standing there eyeing all of you very shrewdly.
I am back shrewdly.
Happy.
I have been sent to question you as to why you have invaded our city.
I wouldn't call it an invasion.
Is this even a city?
Some city.
Somebody else doesn't speak soon, Sploof probably will.
No.
Somebody else better
You're the face. You start
talk.
talking.
Not the face.
Yes, you are. You're the only one with charisma.
Perhaps invade is not what we would have thought. Obviously, perception is everything with this. We've come seeking to end what has come to be known as the death curse. We suffer under an inability to fully heal ourselves.
I pull off a chunk of ear and throw it at you.
That's
Before, as it's coming across the room, one of the Malazan's arms, that is a snake, sort of darts out, grabs it, swallows it, and darts back in.
well, that was
That's
unpleasant.
a cool trick.
He just ate your ear.
Don't do it. Don't do it
It's just a
again.
small piece of ear, I'm fine. I've lost worse.
We have been informed by higher power that this would be the place to end this. We apologize if we have crossed your territory. It was unknowingly.
You are not the only outsiders to have infiltrated our city. How do you say, penalty for such trespasses is the same. Death.
Well, that is a steep price. Perhaps there can be a deal made. Death would not be preferable, as you might understand.
I mean, if you wait a couple days, we'll probably
I mean, in theory, yes. Many of us
I mean, to
suffer
dull
from
your
the death person,
weapons.
but leaving us in this pit would as good as sentence us to death.
Perhaps there is another way. And he gets a thoughtful expression on his face. And he turns. And over his shoulder, he says something in Yuan Ti. And the guards grab you guys by the shoulders and sort of almost,
Can I get a sense of what his what his aim might be?
Roll me an insight check.
Clara casts read body language.
Let's see.
She's a
Plus
cat
9 is
psychiatrist,
going
so.
to be 8. 18.
18. Okay.
Next level.
Well. Let me see here.
Need to update these.
Who was it? Where is he? I know he's in here
I
somewhere.
suppose what she's sort of looking for is like, did he come in here with a specific purpose? Like, why bother questioning us if they're just going to kill us? Yeah.
You get the sense that he really was trying to sort of get a feel for you guys and was gauging your reaction as much as your intentions. And he seems to have reached some sort of decision on where to take you, if not what to do with you guys. And the order very simply seems to have been bring them.
Okay.
And your guards, the guards do reach out and grab each of you guys under the shoulders and sort of drag you along.
I have 2 questions.
Yeah.
All
I'm
these questions
sure
are
you
bad.
do. I'm sure you do.
So my hands are in a leather bag.
Yes.
How big is this bag?
It's pretty tight.
And then my fingers are bound. Am I able to like pull my palms apart?
No.
No.
Ooh,
Okay, that's where,
So the
that's
vibrator-
where it would have to be tied.
Yeah,
basically.
that's where it's tied, is basically right at the base of your hands, so that you're not able to pull them apart at all.
Can I open or pull my thumbs apart like that? This is legitimately important, I promise.
Wow, so specific.
I know.
Nobody knows
Unfortunately, yes, you can.
Alright, my next question, Keith, is when I summon my weapon, does it make a noise?
Yes.
Lightsaber.
How loud is that
Like a
noise?
lightsaber.
I mean, it's not loud, but it's noticeable.
Okay, let me rephrase that. What would it take to cover up that noise?
Nothing you can do right now.
Loud gas.
And the third question I have, so I know
Yes.
I can summon it as in any form I want it to be. How much control do I have over the size of, like, if I summon it as a dagger, can I make the dagger small enough that it won't pierce the bag when I summon it?
Well, that's going to be up to your patron,
I
isn't
know.
it?
So, if we were
Dad,
to
I
have
think
a
I would
conversation
take-
about that, I would have
Dad,
that
I think I
conversation.
would take the form of a measly dagger. How dare you assume giant great sword appears?
It just falls to the floor. 'Cause it can't be the bag.
So you're having sort of this mental conversation. Okay.
Mental conversation.
It's not really a conversation. It's more like ideas and feelings, and the overwhelming feeling you get is an incredulous why. Why would you? And you get a sense of you get the sense it's along the lines of, why would you ask me to be less than my true glory in your hands?
Because my true glory can't hold you at the moment. My true glory can't be held at the moment.
Gotcha.
Uh-oh. Oh.
So then the next sort of idea is sort of a query of, what's your plan?
Well, if I can right now, I want to have you in my hands so that I can cut this bag and cast some spells as soon as we need to. Otherwise, my plan is to summon you in my mouth and cut this bag at the next earliest convenience. Yep.
Yeah, you get a great big nope to the second plan.
You realize if I die, everything you've been working towards is just gone, right? You understand that. You don't work with me here, I'm going to die.
The picture you get back is a very vivid picture of a horse with blinders on. And the sense you get from that is maybe you don't have all the details yet.
And we're walking somewhere.
Walking.
Where did they take us?
He's mouthing off to his god. It's kind of like when, a certain someone
Never mouth
pissed
off
on
to
a
a god.
statue.
See, the thing about warlock patrons though is usually there's a reason they need you to do stuff for
Yes,
them.
but we know what happened we know what happened last Thursday, don't we?
Yes.
Do we want it? We don't want a
We
situation
don't wanna,
like this.
No.
So you guys are led back through an obvious sort of temple area, complete with altar with blood sacrifices. There is no sign of whoever or whatever it was that was on the altar when you were led through an hour earlier. But there is obvious fresh blood that is congealing on the altar. There's a couple of
No, I just
Yeah.
say the
so there are a couple of channels where the blood looks like it has channeled out and through and down out of sight out of this room. You're not real sure where it goes. You're led to a small room just off of the corridor where there are a couple of Malazans standing guard outside. And you're led in. It's a tight fit. But lying on the pallet sort of across the room from you guys is another Yuan Ti pureblood. She's darkly skinned. Long hair. Bare-breasted.
Jeez, we
No!
her.
And she stands up as you guys walk in.
And then a group of adventurers bust in.
Keith,
Not
one
that they
question.
they just kill her.
Elias just feels like a tug in his soul for some reason.
Keith, is my moon crystal gone?
Yes.
You were
All of your gear is gone.
Not really here.
And so she looks at you guys and
Alright, I have my skeletal arm just out.
and you do see what looks to be old wounds that have reopened. Some of them look suspiciously like fork marks. Some of them look like possibly spoons have taken chunks out of flesh. Some of them look like steak knives. All of them look like they are starting to fester just a little bit.
Set her on
You guys
fire.
do.
Didn't we set her on fire?
I
Wait,
feel
were you
like
not
we
there for
killed
that?
her in many ways.
Were you not there for that?
I was there for some of it. not all
Oh,
of
I
it.
took out Kuhani with silverware. It was wonderful.
What was it, flurry of
It was like
Oh,
Catapult or something.
no, it was
Improvised
a coat of arrows or something.
What was it? No, it was barrage because you can use it.
Yeah, it was barrage.
It just says
yeah.
it's a weapon that you can use at range, so I threw silverware at her and it summoned a whole bunch and dealt a bunch of damage. It was great.
So
great.
yeah, so this for those of you not in the know, this is a recurring villain,
Well, I wouldn't say
Question
an
mark?
inconvenience.
a recurring challenge. Yes.
I see.
So she stands up and greets you. And the pureblood that had been interrogating you guys walks over, leans down, and whispers in her ear a little bit. You're not able to make out what he says. Then he bows to her and he leaves the room. I understand that you are travelers that have come to this city and are looking to defeat the death curse. I might have some interest in that.
Oh.
You look, yeah.
Ah.
Did you lose your shirt? 'Cause
I
can
think
give you-
that yes, I think we would be very interested if that is something that is on the table. We would be very interested in helping you to do so. We many of us also so do not throw your ear.
I was gonna give her my overcloak thing, because realistically, I'm a goblin.
What?
Yeah,
Don't worry about it.
Maybe you should stop talking for a moment.
So she does look at you as though she doesn't understand why you're handing her uncovering.
So you're naked now?
Yeah.
Oh, I did not need goblin parts.
I'm looking up at the scene. Lovely architecture.
How would we go about doing so?
Well, the source is not here, obviously. If it was... But...
But we are here. If it is not here, then we need to be where it is.
Right. Well, therein lies the problem, you see. I am something of a priestess for my clan here. There is another who would lead us, and is leading us at the moment, who possesses some of the keys that I believe you seek. It would not be amiss if he wasn't around anymore.
Who is this person?
He is an ancient necromancer that goes by the name of Raznisi.
Bless you.
Give me just one moment here, guys. I do need to take just a brief moment. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, if we don't kill her before we leave,
We don't sit with it.
we lose the game.
I mean, yeah.
I mean, we have a perfect opportunity here. There is a volcano. And everyone knows you can't come back from a volcano.
Well, you can't come back so long as the death curse is in effect either.
Exactly.
So
No, but
There's
still,
no remains.
if there's no
fine.
remain. Yeah, but knowing Kuhani, she's probably got a clone out there somewhere or some.
depending on what
Is
level
there any
she's
problem
at.
with that? You have explosions.
Yeah, no, I'm with you. Like,
Yeah,
killing
we
Kuhani is
should-
second
I mean-
only to winning this campaign.
Eventually, though, with clones, eventually there'll be just so many you don't know which one's the original because they'll all believe that they are the original. So who knows who the originals would be? Spoof, why you
I
cry?
feel emotionally
Yes, I think she dies. This is, I guess, not
This is a weird.
exclusive.
This is a weird conversation.
This is a
of,
not in character.
No, this
Yeah.
is not an. This
Yes.
is not an in-game.
So I was gonna, if they hadn't come to get us, I was gonna summon my weapon as a dagger and cut the bag,
Yeah.
and then work on sawing through the links and the
Yeah, but
chains.
there's like 20 of them guarding us.
Yeah, but not when we were in the pits. So if they hadn't pulled us
True.
out
Yeah,
yet,
sure.
I had all the time in the world. Nobody was watching us.
Yeah, I can get out as soon as we have a long rest. But until then,
I mean,
I have two
I had
spell
I
slots
had
for
high
the
hopes
Sun
that
Whisper.
yes, I'm with the wizard. The wizard will get me out. But I know Danny. Danny does not have good spells. Do
I have
Well,
great spells.
you have
Just-
just indoor?
Not for this.
I don't have that.
Where's
Sutter
it?
does.
When we level up.
Yeah, with long rest. Same
Yeah.
as everybody else though.
Yeah,
I,
but you
I
Oh.
can
you
take
will.
Dimension Door on the next one
I
because
can
we already
do
know I'm
escape
short
now.
on spells.
If
It's
I
gonna take you a
So
long
after
time
the
to
next
cut
long
you.
rest, I can
I
go
don't
ahead
have
and
to
say I
control.
have Dimension Door too. Because
Oh,
we
I
know
can
that I
make
oopsed
a
that.
run for it with these things still on.
It's
I'm not too
not
worried
a-
about it, honestly.
I do have two spell slots with the Sonnet Whisper. And it's herbal only, so.
And we've seen a lot of things. Like, so far, we've seen at least, like, 22.
Oh, yeah, no, yeah. That's
Yes.
Our next question to Keith will be: are these can we tell if these are different Yuan Ti than
Just start
those who have
picking out so
guarded?
we can count.
Yeah,
like, it's all Yuan Ti they have, and they're just making it look like there's a lot of them.
it's like a.
You were there for that. The first game I played with you guys, Keith had set up, I think it was bugbears?
Uh-huh.
And just like bugbear cutouts in the wall. So it looked like there was a whole bunch of them, but there was like 2.
But yeah, there was 2.
Oh,
That
yeah.
was
I've
so
heard
much
stories, yes.
The mirror effect.
Okay.
Or just have torches in the
Didn't one of
woods.
us make a perception check and we realized,
I
like,
think so. Actually, it might have been Kupani.
right, because she was a terrible, morally she's a terrible person, but she was really useful.
Hey, Chipper! Woohoo!
And your character was the opposite.
He got better.
He did.
So, here we go. Here's a shout out for Chipper's little store there that's got our stuff on it. Yes, of course we were going to do that for you, Chipper. All right. So, sorry.
Back to the conversation.
Back to the conversation at hand.
Oh, yeah. Kunani.
So, if you feel as though that might be something you would be interested in assisting with,
Who is this other person?
Rasnisi.
Because an ancient, the ancient
Yes.
necromancer.
Well, I mean, with the alternative being death,
Either way.
I suppose our options are limited.
Yes, we would rather kill Rasnisi than die.
I feel like that's a smart decision. You will
Oh, thank you. What did I do?
you will forgive me if I have to test your loyalty and your trustworthiness, of course. May there are tasks that can be done here in the Thane that could be taken care of.
I mean, are they relatively quick because we're kind of falling apart?
Oh, they will not take too long, of course.
Chunk of nose.
So I will have everybody roll me a percentile.
Where's my tens? I'm down to 1.
98.
98.
Don't know if that's good or bad.
Okay.
22.
22. So just sort of make a note of what it is, and we will go around and get back to you guys.
36.
36.
61.
61.
31.
31.
Is that really widespread?
And what was yours?
22.
22. Okay. So
One of
one
the highest.
1 to 15. Anybody? No.
Raise their hand.
No. Okay. 16 to 40. So that's the two of you guys.
And the 3 of us.
Yeah.
3.
No, the three of you guys. Okay.
Is this what we have to fight?
It's our house chore.
And 61 to 75. Okay. 70, and you got a 98.
98.
So you get to clean out the latrines.
I hope it's something good.
Okay.
And she didn't learn lesson last time. About the chains.
No one said
Alright, so
anything.
which area is that?
This is
Okay. Well then.
pretty interesting.
All right. So we'll start with you and we'll work back around.
Okay. Uh-huh.
Gotta remember.
Really good or really bad?
All right. So when you have accomplished your tasks, come back to see me. I have to marshal my forces, let's say. We'll be ready for you when you're done. And she starts dividing you guys up with some of the guards. So 2 guards come grab you,
Okay.
and they lead you first back up to the temple area, or to the altar area.
Okay.
You get sacrificed.
There. Let me make sure of what I'm telling you here.
Prove your loyalty by dying.
That's not loyalty.
Okay, first scrub the old blood off.
No.
And then you die.
Oh, I think I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
Oh.
Keep going.
Okay.
I just have an idea.
So they take you back through into the prisoner area. You do once you get back there, you do see that one of the prisoners, manacled to the wall, has passed.
Okay.
The guards unchain the body and motion for you to pick it up.
Pick it up.
Yeah, pick it up.
I pick it up.
You pick it up? Okay. And then they start to lead you back through the temple.
Okay.
And
Have to lean back so you can see my-
sorry.
No, that's fine.
And so they lead you through this large open area here with the snake statue, and there's what is it that's there? There's a couple of carts and a couple of basilisks chained to the wall. There's also a triceratops in a pen there in
There's
the north.
a what?
There's a triceratops in the pen in the northeast corner.
Northwest?
Or northwest corner, yes.
Just look down.
So then they also lead you down the ramp here through this large area, and you do see a fountain filled with blood that has been obviously
Filled.
collected from blood sacrifices.
Uh-huh. Now, as a blood hunter, would I know what this rite would be for?
No, because you've never heard of anything like this, or you've never seen anything quite like this.
Okay.
You then descend through this hallway here,
Okay.
straight south, and then to the west, or to the east rather. Great big pit with snakes in the bottom of it.
Oh. Joy.
This is quite a place.
Snakes should be
I
snakes.
Yep. And then through what looks to be a bit of a nesting area.
A nesting area?
Yeah. So each of those little sort of insets has got places where the Yuan Ti can rest and or lay their
Okay.
Yuan Ti eggs. And then you pass through the door into this grotto.
Mm-hmm.
We should run them out of
An underground river here widens to form this flooded grotto. To the west, a pebble-strewn bank rises to a door recessed in the cavern wall that you just came through. Near the middle of the lake, bones cling like a tide mark to a rocky pillar.
Why didn't I get this chore?
Shut up.
Alright.
You couldn't carry the body.
There are a couple of rowboats. So there's a rowboat here,
Okay.
and the guards sort of press you into the rowboat with your
We'll get in the rowboat.
okay. There's a rope attached to it, but they shove you out into the lake. Make me a perception check, please.
Oh.
wanted is this basin full of this liquid.
Perception.
Yes.
24.
There are ripples in the water, as if something is moving below the surface.
Okay.
If I could kill things,
I don't know what I'm supposed to do. Do I drop the body in the water?
You have chosen wisely, my friend.
And
Okay.
GTFO.
As they see you drop the body over into the water, the guards start hauling on the rope to get you back. And
Okay.
behind you, you see this enormous form with 3 or 4 necks converging on the body, and they just start ripping it to shreds.
Do I know what a hydra is?
Yes. Yes, you do.
No!
Oh! It is cemented in my mind. Should I ever get a wish, I will wish for Troll to just go into the sea.
Never to be seen,
Never to be seen again.
Never to be seen again. Make me.
Good character.
Okay.
Hello, little hydra. Don't eat me.
That's for normal people.
Roll me an investigation check real quick. I should have had you do this before. I'm sorry.
Investigation.
Yeah.
Unnatural 20.
Unnatural 20. Okay. As the guards are pulling you, hand over hand back towards the shore, you happen to glance down into the bottom of the boat.
Okay.
And you see what looks to be a small scrap of parchment. And it looks like it might have fallen out of the pockets or hands or something of the prisoner that you just fed to the Hydra.
Okay. Can I appear to fall over as if them pulling me drastically has...
Make me a deception check.
Be deceptive. Be deceptive.
What?
Oh!
You actually do go over the side into the lake.
Oh!
Grab that boat.
Grab the boat.
One of the Hydra heads looks over at you.
Grab that boat, Brayden.
I grabbed the boat.
You grab the boat, okay.
Goodbye,
Um,
Alex. It's been fun.
This is not how life
Alright.
shines.
Make me.
This could be how all of us end.
Make.
This could be.
It's a good way to go out, though.
We all
Yeah,
have
Hydra.
the jaws of a Hydra.
Hail Hydra.
Yeah.
Guess we died.
Let me see here.
I mean, you cheated death so far. It's bound to catch up sometime.
Yeah, that was bound to catch up sometime.
Let me see here.
That doesn't mean
+9 to hit.
Okay. Make. Are you trying to climb back in the boat or just hold on to it?
Oh, holding on.
Okay. Make me a strength check.
strength or athletics?
Athletics. Yeah, make it athletics.
26.
20.
I rolled a 19.
Nice. So the one head has seen you, and it reaches out to try and grab a hold of
Just a
you.
log in the water.
Unfortunately, the rest of the heads are busy chowing down on your unfortunate friend, and it just misses you as it slaps the water right behind you as you're holding on to the boat.
Okay.
You are then they do drag you back up onto the shoreline
Okay.
and pull you roughly to your feet.
Okay. I look scared
Ooh, so close.
and shaking.
They look a little bit shaken as well, actually.
I
And
don't know whether they say comment, but like, could we please go now?
all right, they hustle you back, sort of, in the direction of the pens where you were before.
Okay.
All right, the rest of you.
Why do they have a Hydra? That's a bad idea.
So the three of you, what were
36.
36,
31.
What was it, like 15?
22.
22. Okay.
Yeah, it was like 15 before or something.
All right. For the three of you, you're given an escort out. You do see you see Elias sort of heading back the direction you guys came. What was yours?
61.
Okay. And then you see Clara sort of being let off ahead of you guys, back the other direction. You three also come through this room, and you see the statue, you see the Triceratops, you see the basilisks. But you guys are led beyond that through a hall of the hall of serpents.
Oh, the hall of serpents.
There are the walls of this pillared hall bear reliefs of a giant serpent and its Yuan Ti worshippers doing unspeakable things.
Like they do.
Like they do. There is a giant serpent coiling around in the underworld, and it's devouring the dreams of sleeping creatures. There are Yuan Ti terrorizing Shultans, feeding their nightmares to the great serpent. There is a Yuan Ti Malazan wielding a flaming sword and wearing a golden crown set with black opals. He seems to be leading the snake people into a great door to the underworld. In the final scene, the door to the underworld opens, releasing the serpent. It devours the sun and plunges the world into terror and darkness.
Anybody else feel like this is a bad idea?
You're releasing the god, right? Right?
I mean, that's about par for the course for here.
What is your fair point? I mean, why would anyone follow them knowing that this is the story? I feel like that's a bad idea. Like,
Some get to be
Watch the world burn, Mr. Wayne.
So you're led down the ramp here to this little diagonal hallway, and from there into what appears to be a storeroom of some kind. Stacks of sturdy wooden crates, bundles of cloth, and clay amphora litter the floor. So clay jars, basically. Looks like it's sort of a supply drop. There's lots of sort of knick-knackery things that look as though they might have been stolen from other adventurers that have wandered into the clutches of the Yuan Ti. From the three of you, I will take a perception check.
perception.
16.
16?
That's going to be a 15.
15?
17.
17? Okay. So you guys do all notice that piled along one wall appears to be the gear that was taken from you.
Ooh.
Directly
I'm gonna act like I didn't notice.
Directly between you and your pile of gear is an enormous giant constrictor snake. And as you walk in with the guards, it turns and looks at you. And you get a sense that there is intelligence behind those eyes. As if it bobs its head at you.
I like this one.
Don't pet him.
Okay.
Feed the bears,
I mean, unless you want, and then I'll pet you. But, you know,
Probably not.
you strike me as above such things.
Chocobo coming out.
And then it opens its mouth and speaks.
Oh,
I see Mistress Honey has given me additional hands for the afternoon.
I kind of like look up and down his torso and I look at my hands.
Okay, 0 plus 6 is still
Wait,
6.
are hands unbind at this point? Are they unshackled?
Not yet.
Yeah. Okay.
They figure you can move things with your elbows.
I will require your assistance to organize the storeroom. And he starts to set you guys to work, moving stuff around.
Now, I don't know why, but I would rather have done the Hydra than whatever this thing is. This thing, I don't like snakes.
That would be a little difficult with our hands bounded.
Yes.
Find a way.
okay. Misty step.
He told me to,
He did tell you to find a way.
but I'm still right there. Just eagerly awaiting orders.
And we are here to prove our worth.
Well,
Well, that's disconcerting.
Why?
You're not going to try to run away, are you?
I'm here.
No.
Okay.
I'm sitting here thinking, if he was going to run away, don't you think he would have done that before he got into the room with the giant snake?
I mean, it's intelligent, it's not that intelligent.
I could
Um,
have
it's
done that
intelligent
before.
enough to speak.
Anyway, so
I'm excited to be on the flip side.
he starts to give you guys directions, and it does dismiss the guards from the room.
Now, can you think you can take constrictor snake?
I'm gonna walk over, if there's already something sharp in the room, I'm gonna walk over that, but if not, I'm gonna walk over to my gear and use a tagger to cut the bag so that I can use my hands.
You don't think the snake's not gonna notice?
Well, we're gonna see if he says anything.
He
And
told him to find
he told
a
us to
way.
find a way. I am finding a way.
I should have been more specific if you wanted it to be a way that didn't involve grabbing sharp pointy things.
I don't want to go for a weapon right away if there's just something in the room that looks like it's sharp enough that I can just sort of rip the bag open.
Like a steak knife.
Yeah, it looks like there is like a relatively sharp hook almost. Looks like it might have been used at one point in its life as a deep sea fishing hook, so fairly large. Certainly sharp enough that you could rip open the bag if you wanted
Yeah,
to.
I do so.
Okay. Very resourceful. What are you doing there?
I mean, look something up first.
Man,
Poor life
this-
choices.
Okay. All right. So he starts to set you guys to work, moving crates around, moving boxes around.
I kind of do the whole magician's apprentice thing.
Okay.
No, I'm not even gonna ask you if that spell.
As you guys start to work, the snake tells you his name. It is Azimaz.
See, Maz. Yeah, the name's always he's a muppet.
I feel like he needs an inhaler.
And he actually tells you guys that it's been a long time since he has had anybody actually talk to him. So he's grateful for any conversation that you guys
Well, good.
want to give
So
him.
we can distract
Yeah.
him.
You do also get the sense that he's keeping very tight watch on which crates and which boxes go where, and he's got a very definite idea about where things should go.
How long has he been in charge of the storeroom?
I so rarely get out of this room. It is hard to judge the passage of time,
How many sleeps?
but too many to count.
Radio isn't there.
Yeah, oh, that's right.
You should have a vacation. You could come with us.
What sort of purpose would I have with you?
I don't know. You never know when you're gonna need a snake. Snakes are incredibly useful.
And he sort of peers down at himself. I'm more than just a snake.
Of course you are. You're like
Okay.
a super creature. A super awesome snake man.
Those can go in that crate.
You'll have to
And
learn
he's
that.
actually pointing at your gear
I would like to ask how.
with his tail.
Okay.
Oh.
You'll have to forgive our friend. We have not encountered your kind before. This is a new experience for us.
Well, it was a new experience for me too. Can you just imagine? There I was, sleeping on my branch in the jungle when Rasnisi gifted me with intelligence.
See? Super.
Gesundheit.
I do fear for my master, though. I believe Kuhani might be plotting against him.
But your master, the Yuan Ti serve him, don't they?
Yes.
So
Some are unwillingly.
Hmm.
As we're moving stuff around, do I happen to see my little wind crystal?
Make me an investigation check.
I would
So,
also like to
while you're
slide
doing
in my
that-
component pouch.
Make me a sleight of hand check.
Interesting.
No.
I thought Rasnisi only had dead things that served him.
What was that?
26.
Mine's gonna be a no. It's a 5.
No, yeah, you don't find it. There are a lot of things, but you don't see anything. And you are able to tuck away your component pouch there, Sploof.
I guess that was really all that they would have taken from me.
And your spell book.
Your
The
spell book,
Anything else?
anything else you
You
had.
can't get all your spells back after a long rest.
No.
Your spell book can.
You can get your spells back. You cannot change spells.
Well, in that case,
without
I'd
a
also
spell
like
book.
my spell book. Could I go ahead and slide and have that separately, or?
It's a separate roll.
Okay.
Separate roll.
14?
As you're sort of slipping it under your
Whatever.
under your whatever, The snake's tail sort of reaches in and grabs it. That goes here and puts it in the crate.
Will I get that back at some point?
That is not for me to say.
So, I thought Rasnisi was a necromancer. I expected he only had dead that served him.
He was a necromancer in a former life, let us say.
Interesting. Who else does he have serving him?
Well, this tribe, of course. We have some beasts of burden. Any time he ventures into the jungles, the undead there answer his call.
When was the last time you saw Rasnisi?
It has been several weeks. I do fear for his health at the moment.
Oh.
Why is that?
Ah, because he had a former life.
He was brought back in his dying death curse himself.
Then why would he have cursed everyone? I don't think he's the source then. If he's also falling apart.
Yeah, weird.
So, the supplies in here, are these, what types of goods are they? Or is this just like a hodgepodge of like things they've collected?
It's
Is there food?
it's a
Is there-
hodgepodge of things they've collected. It's a little bit of everything, except weapons.
Okay.
There are no weapons that you can see
How
here.
much food and other provisions are there?
A good bit. I mean, the room's fairly full.
How many people could they feed and for how long?
Well, let's see. How many people could they feed and for how long?
Yeah. It's on the size of their stockpile of supplies. rather
Assuming
than-
they eat rations and whatever.
Oh, I'm sure they have other sources of food, but still.
Yeah, like travelers tend to wander in.
Floors.
Yeah. Might at least be able to get an idea of how many people they generally.
Because I'm sure they
Yeah,
keep,
yeah.
I'm sure they keep food and other stuff on hand in case.
Okay. So there are 50 bolts of cloth, 6 crates of bronze bars, 3 barrels of salt and spices, 3 chests containing rope, oil, lanterns, paper, and blankets. Enough that you could assemble about 5 explorers packs from it. There's also a sealed case.
See what's inside. So no amount of like food or rations or anything.
Yeah, not so much, no.
Okay. All right. So this is not their.
This is not their food hoard, it is just a place for...
This is the random
useful
stuff
stuff.
they've accumulated. This
Yeah.
is not like
This is their.
This is the
closet,
junk
not
drawer.
This is
Yeah.
the junk
Their
drawer.
junk
It's the
drawer.
junk drawer.
Not the
The
pantry.
snake is the keeper of the junk drawer.
Do you know much
This is
about
why you don't have a junk
the Yuan Ti? I've heard of them, but I've never actually encountered them, and this seems a smaller tribe than what I've heard of them at least.
Oh, there are at least 100 warriors at Raznisi's beck and call.
100 Yuan Ti warriors?
Yes.
Insight check.
Okay.
I don't know if he's capable of lying, but I would like to know if he is.
Bardic inspiration.
Thank you.
That's a
1d8.
Yeah.
So that means we all
All right,
just
17.
have to kill 10.
17?
No problem.
No problem.
I mean, he seems to be on the level.
Does he seem intelligent enough to be able to keep track of a number that big? Like I'm
I mean,
assuming-
he's got about he's got an average intelligence. I mean, he's keeping track of where all of the stuff in the storeroom is.
So would he be smart enough not to count extra Yuan Ti if like the same Yuan Ti were just coming through every time, if that makes sense?
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah. He could determine.
He could distinguish.
He could distinguish
Okay.
between
All
individuals.
Yuan Ti look alike. Don't be racist.
I was just wondering if, since he's like a snake made self-aware, I was wondering if like object permanence is a thing. So if the Yuan Ti aren't in the room, the new
I'll
one
put it in.
Yuan Ti definitely
I will put it in mechanical terms. He has an intelligence of 10.
Okay.
Which is to say, he's smarter than some party members.
He's smarter than the average snake. Yeah, he is actually smarter than some party members.
Are we looking at you?
Not me.
Who has the intelligence
Maybe.
of 8?
I probably might be.
The snake is smarter than me.
Yeah.
So just for reference, he also rolled a 17 on his persuasion to convince you that he was telling the truth. So
Okay.
anyway, so take that information as you will. So yeah, and so he has you guys finish packing up. He does. Go ahead.
So he doesn't seem particularly. He doesn't seem particularly on guard.
Not particularly so. No. Why?
I would just as we're working conversationally. So if you're worried about your master, I would assume then that most of the Yuan Ti are not happy with this arrangement. They would rather replace him with someone else.
It is so hard to judge intent. I do not believe it is all of them, no, but there is a sizable contingent under Kuhani's sway.
And does he not have other allies or forces he could call upon that are not under the influence of Kuhani? That do not run the risk of turning?
Oh, I'm sure he does, but he does not share that sort of information with me. I keep the storeroom stocked and organized.
Well, hopefully no harm comes to him.
Is that why he gave you intelligence?
Yes.
It's always good to have a purpose.
He's just been walking around the jungle one day. I was like, you know what I need? I need a snake to handle my store.
Yeah.
But you say that he's suffering the same thing
So
that we are.
he does direct you to put the rest of all of the party's gear into the same crate as your spellbook, and then to close it up.
As a side note, I have a lot.
Oh yeah,
20
Well-
minutes of just Elias's gear.
Yeah.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
Try to persuade him to let me have my spellbook back.
Offer to read it to him. He needs a good story.
Oh.
I have some very interesting things in this book, if you might be interested. I'd really like to take it with me. It's very important to me. It has some things that a very dear friend gave to me. He was my best minion.
Now he's dead.
Do you have minions?
Undead.
I do not.
Do you consider yourself a minion?
What's a minion?
You are starting
I
the
don't-
slave wars.
I don't believe so.
Would you like to be one?
No, I
Oh.
don't think I would.
Oh. If you ever reconsider, let me know. I'm always in search of good minions.
He makes friends, or companions.
Ah, I see.
At least that's what we assume.
This is It's a very important book. I'll let you see it. And it could be very useful if they want us to do other things for use.
Okay, so I need you to make your
Persuasion.
persuasion roll at disadvantage because he is very loyal to his master.
Bardic, 1d8.
1d8. It's far from being a 0, but 1d8.
I don't know, Snake is pretty smart.
So that's gonna be, I can't math, 15.
Probably shouldn't do this. So he sort of worms his tail up into the crate, past the lid, roots around for a minute, and does pull your spell book out. And then make sure that the lid is closed on the crate again.
Thank you.
Do you hug the snake?
Huh?
Do you hug the
I
snake?
do.
So you feel the snake sort of coil around you in a snaky hug and give a little squeeze. And he just kind of holds it.
Okay. Okay.
You let go.
Can we? Okay. I release.
And then he releases a little bit.
Let go. Just
A sign of love and friendship.
For me, it is a sign of hunger.
Wow, now I want to play a ranger whose beast friend is a constrictor and just like a small
We have food in
creature.
our packs.
Yes.
If you're hungry.
In exchange for the food, maybe you would consider letting my friends have their things.
I can't do that, unfortunately.
You have a whole pig.
He does ask, do you have a whole pig?
Some alligator skins.
If you took all our food and put it back together, you might get a whole pig.
Actually,
Probably so.
Probably.
bunch of alligator meat.
Oh yeah, we do have alligator meat.
Oh no,
No, we made sure all our provisions were good, so.
It's
What?
fair.
I make sure not to mention I got 30-foot snake skin.
Wise idea.
Anyway.
Yeah, I was thinking about that when he said, I've never seen one of you. I was like, are you sure? I think we've killed like 2 of them.
Oh yeah, no, I was lying up.
That skin is packed away. It's out of sight.
Intelligence snakes.
Alright, I think we're good.
Well,
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I think for now we should just cooperate.
Now it's time to see what's
All right. Once the storeroom is arranged to his liking, he summons the guards back and sends you guys on your way. You will be led back to the holding pens where you were. to start
I
with.
still didn't see what the note said.
I attempt for another long rest.
Okay, we'll come back to that.
Okay.
All right, Clara. Make sure I know where you're going.
I mean, I don't, so.
I mean, it can't be worse
So
than
you'll have to be
beating
the
a
one to make the
manager.
blood sacrifice, right? That's
Okay.
what's left.
So you were also led
I
down.
was going to defend.
So you were also led down through the same area. You saw the same motifs on the wall.
Would I recognize any of those? Are they religious?
They're not
The serpent eating the I think is.
Make me a religion check.
19. was. Oh, that's good, because my religion actually kind of sucks for a cleric.
You're more of a psychiatrist than a cleric.
Yeah, that's true.
2021.
Focus more on the mind and then in emotion.
24, 25.
25. Okay. You remember hearing before you came to Schult that some adventurers who had been here spoke of running into Yuan Ti and spoke of some of their rituals that centered around a being known as Dindar, the Night Serpent. And yeah, that's you weren't really all that interested in that. So most of the rest of the details sort of are foggy, fuzzy in your mind.
Telephone.
Yeah.
You're more interested in why he wets the bed.
Right.
That
So
must have been enormously traumatic.
so you're not, so you don't have any more details than that, but you do at least know that. Okay. So you are led down the hallway here. You pass you pass this side corridor, a couple more side corridors here, pass through the snake pit, and then you come into this room here.
Hold on, I gotta stand up and see which one. Oh boy! Oh,
Wait, the one with the markers on, or the one that?
No, not the one that the marker's on.
The blood one?
Yeah.
Yeah, the one with the this one here, right there.
Wow. Maybe the Hydra wasn't so bad.
I don't know, it depends what he has to do.
The iron stench of blood floods this chamber. Along the wall, a row of gore-filled pools sink into the floor. Blood trails and bloody footprints run between the pools. You are here. There are 4 Yuan Ti purebloods and 2 Type 2 Malazans that are each one of them in one of these pools of blood. And your guards motion you towards the pools
Did you find the spa?
and sort of get across to you that you are supposed to bathe these creatures in blood.
You found the spa.
Could be worse.
Cool.
At least you're not higher.
I think he would probably have taken some like indefinite madness.
So you do see that each one of them that's in the pools has their weapons at the back of the alcoves. So their weapons are within arm's reach.
Okay.
You clean them?
I don't think I'm supposed to be cleaning them.
Bathing them in blood is what you're supposed to be doing.
Alright.
How did that do?
So as we're walking into the room, the doorway
Or
that's
just
there,
faint?
Yes.
is it closed, open?
It is closed at the moment.
I will remind you that your hands are still bound up.
Right. Okay, so it's closed. It's just like a slate door. Like what kind of a door am I looking at?
Yeah, it's just a stone door.
Stone door. Okay. So as they motion for like washing or whatever, I'm gonna like.
Okay. One of the guards will come up and withdraw the
I'm assuming my feet are still bound.
your feet are still bound and your wrists are still bound together too. They've just taken the cover off your hands to give you free use of that.
So I'm going to nod my head and say thank you. Thank you. I do appreciate your helping me to do this. And do I get the sense that he can understand me at all, aside from like the body language?
A little bit. So there is some comprehension there. This particular one is one of the snake heads, and so it's He might can understand you, but he's not going to be able to speak nearly as well.
Okay, and then you said bathing. There's some pure bloods. How many pure bloods?
2 purebloods.
Okay, who's
No, I'm sorry. 4 purebloods and 2 type 2 malazons.
and type 2 is lower half.
No, type 2 is the one that's got the snake arms.
Okay, well, where are they in terms of in relation to the room?
So they are in the little
The alcoves.
the
Like,
alcoves.
Like, are they interspersed? Or like where are the type 2?
So the 4 purebloods are in the center 4, and then the type 2s are at either end.
And do they seem like they're any type of like do the pure bloods look like they're in a position of power? Because that's sort of what it's seemed like so far. Is the pure bloods are in charge, but is that the case here as well? Like they have some sort of a better position here?
Seems more like sort of equal footing here.
Okay. Alright, then we're going with one of the malazans first.
Okay.
And I will scoop and like pour it and rub it along skin and scales.
All I had to do was build the body.
But I'm going to try to avoid getting my face close to the snakes.
Okay.
Because if I'm going to get bit, I don't want it to be on my face.
Okay. All right. They don't really seem all that inclined to be striking.
Okay.
They're a lot more sort of. It seems like more of a relaxation kind of thing going on. Maybe even somewhat ritualistic,
Okay.
perhaps.
So I'm going to lean into that a little bit then, and I'm going to say, is there anything that I should be doing specifically to put you more at ease as I'm like working it across the skin?
So the first one, she looks down at you, says, "Nothing specific, no."
So I'm going to start like, as I'm pouring blood on, I'm going to start kneading a little bit, like massage.
Make me a perception check.
This is okay. This is not. Those are
17
crap
plus 9 is a 26.
26, okay.
I think it applies to bathing too.
So you do hear a couple of the purebloods down the line speaking to each other.
Of course, you don't understand Yuan Ti, so.
They're actually. What languages do you
I
understand?
know a whole bunch.
Portuguese.
I speak Dwarvish, Elven, Common, Draconic, and Gnomish. Jeez.
Oh, okay. That is quite the spread.
I know Abyssal.
I don't know.
Well, that was a doctor.
Gotta cover all her bases.
So what were they again? Sorry.
Dwarven, Elvish, Common, Draconic, and Gnomish.
Okay.
Not Underdark.
Okay.
Let's make it risky and live.
So you actually hear a couple of them conversing in Draconic.
Interesting.
And they seem to be talking about Kuhani and how she has had a prophetic dream, or at least professes to have had a prophetic dream.
This is late.
One where she has learned the location of something called the Black Opal Crown.
Oh.
Oh boy.
Do you have any idea what that would be?
Make me a religion check.
You also would have seen the
Pictogram.
pictogram with the dude leading the Yuan Ti into the underworld with the crown,
Oh,
the opals.
Yeah, you would
may not
have.
know what it means, but you've seen it.
Yeah, you have seen it.
18.
18. So you do remember that particular pictogram of
Dendar,
of someone leading the Yuan Ti into the underworld wearing the crown,
Okay.
presumably to free Dindar, the Night Serpent.
Okay.
And you do sort of remember. It's the conversation sparks a memory from those adventurers that you knew that had talked about Dindar, and about how the Yuan Ti thought that something called the Black Opal Crown would give them the power to usher Dindar back onto the material plane.
That's so bad.
Kulani's claiming to know
And
where it is.
Bring you back
Yes.
to destroy Jolt.
Okay.
All of it.
We'll open the door. You destroy the knife or the death curse.
No, it's
So I'm
all
going to go ahead
goes
and bow
away.
and say, I thank you for allowing me this opportunity. And I'm going to go ahead and move over and see if I can get into one of the, whichever one I think I heard speaking about the
Okay, so we'll just say for brevity's sake that over the next hour or so that you ritually bathe all of these Yuan Ti in blood, and there's quite the mix of blood. Some of it seems quite fresh, some of it seems quite old. Some of it looks like it might have been. I mean, you're familiar enough with humanoid blood that you know kind of what that's like. You also know that there's a little bit of a difference with animal blood, and some of that is in there too. So it's a melange of just ichor and stuff.
So I'm also trying to sort of suss out like what their feelings on Kuhane are, and so some of that conversation might be, I was sent here by Kuhane, and sort
Okay.
of try to gauge reactions to the
Okay.
name.
Make me an insight check.
Love insight checks. Except when I roll poorly. It's 14.
14? Uh-huh. Seems very much to be sort of reverence
Okay.
for her. And while you're there, ritually bathing these Yuan Ti, fresh blood starts flowing into the basins.
No.
Not it.
Really hope I wasn't anybody I know. Now, you said I was recognizing differences between humanoidish blood and not. Is
Mhm.
this fresh blood humanoid?
Yes.
Not spider blood.
Not spider blood. No.
Yeah.
Good. That would
There
be
is at
very,
least
very bad.
Because my wife would be pleased. Okay.
You just wouldn't go home today.
Sorry, sweetheart, I am stuck.
Well, my tire appears to have fallen off.
I took a wrong turn and
Now I'm in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
Okay.
All right. Okay. After your ministrations on these beings, you are led back to the pits where you were
Covered in
just
blood.
covered in blood. When you're lowered back down into your pit, there's a moment of panic on Katarina's face as she thinks for a second that maybe you were actually harmed, and then she realizes that it's not your blood. It's like, ugh. She kind of recoils just a little bit. You get a sense she's not going to go in for that hug that she wanted before.
That's okay. We need to have a discussion about boundaries.
So are we all brought back to our respective pits?
You're all back to your respective pits. You sort of trickle in. Elias is the first back. His job was not all that difficult, but he's a little bit shaken. The three of you, actually Clara is next back, and the three of you, because it's taken a little bit longer and you kind of schmoozed a little bit better than everybody else, you're the last ones back. Not more than 5 minutes after the three of you being led back, you're summoned again to Kuhani.
My poor shoulders.
Just want to sleep.
You all see I just have a vacant stare. Shaking.
Did they put back the bag?
Yes. Yes, they would have put the bag back. As you are being led back through the as you're being led back through the hallways to the place where the altar is, you do see a figure being bound to it. It's a familiar figure.
Oh.
It is a red-robed figure.
Oh.
It is Claudius. And he looks up at you as you walk by, but he says nothing.
Is he the one that we tied up?
One of the ones that you tied up, yes.
I keep my mouth shut, just keep going.
Does it? So when he notices us, does it look like he tries to, without saying anything or being obvious, like pass a message, or is he just sort of resigned to his fate?
Make me an insight check.
I think I'd like to too, if that's okay. Piggyback the insight. Ooh, that's good.
14.
7, 25. Sorry, I can't. Math. It takes too long.
He seems, to you, he seems rather resigned. It's of course it's hard to tell because he didn't give a lot of.
He's not a very animated person.
He's not a very animated person anyway, so getting any sort of emotion at all out of him is sort of hard. Sploof, you do catch a. Yeah, I hit the stop button inadvertently.
Oh, yeah.
So sorry about that. We're back up now. It was the very briefest of gaps. Sploof, you do see sort of a moment of surprise that you all are here and that you are, if not free to move about, then in a lot better shape than he is. Followed quickly by a brief flash of curiosity about something. You're not real sure what. Before it sort of slides back under that icy calm of his that sort of pervades everything.
Kind of look back with the same curiosity. Trying to figure him out. But they tried to kill us, so.
Well, we attacked
Oh,
first.
that's right. That's right.
Now, I am of the opinion they would have tried to kill us or capture us.
How many?
We'll never know.
How many people are in the room with us? So there's the group of us.
There's the group of you that each one of you has 3 guards on you.
Not doing
There,
anything then?
there's Claudius on tied to the altar, and there appears to be 3 or 4 priests gathered around him,
Oh, you
about to perform some sort of ritual.
Are we like watching? Or
You,
are we
you,
still
you're,
going
you guys are
back?
just walking
Okay.
through the room at the moment.
I'm going to sort of slow myself and look towards the priests. I would like to say, if it is possible, please hold a moment. I would speak to Kuhane for this man. He may serve more purpose alive than dead.
He would probably be more valuable to Kuhani alive. And if she decides not, you can always kill him later.
They don't say anything, but the 3 sort of under priests look to the the fourth. And he looks sort of past you guys and nods to something in the shadows. And then he turns to you and he nods.
Thank you for your consideration.
Okay. All right.
Stephen and I are apparently on the same wavelength.
Okay. All right, so you guys are ushered back into Kuhani's presence. You have all proven yourselves. I thank you for that.
I like your snake.
Yes, he's unique.
He's a good fella.
I have a request. There is a man about to be perhaps ritually sacrificed. We have encountered him previously in our travels through the city. It would perhaps be beneficial. He is, I believe, no slouch in a fight. If it is coming to the need to remove a specific problem, because I have no idea if the guards are with her or not. Removing specific problems, he might be enormously beneficial in doing so quietly.
He would be worth more to you alive and on your side than dead.
That being said, we're not particularly fond of the man, but
He did seem to hold to his word at the very least. Trustworthy, if not necessarily pleasant.
And death has a funny way of motivating people.
that's true.
I will have to speak with this man and see if he is as you say. You have proven yourselves worthy. Will you take that final step? I will speak with him and see if he will join us on our
I have
noble quest.
a question, and I'm gonna kind of look, like, give her a look and look at the other guards in the room, like, you know, the sort of look when you're like, I don't know if anyone else in here is in on this whole. And
Okay.
then, does she respond at all, or? I would assume that you require our help in the hopes of dealing with your problem quickly.
Yes.
Are you planning on marshaling your forces and we all have a great big...
That would be messy
Right.
and would not be the ideal situation if we could get close to him by stealth. That would be
I
preferable.
have a way that my companions and I could get within striking range easily.
So do I.
But if we fail, we are simply adventurers. We're a random element that somehow managed to find their way in. You can have another shot at him if we fail, and you've lost nothing. Or if you come with us, and you play your hand, and if this fails, or if things get messier than you wanted, your shot's done. So it may be worth just considering. I'm confident we can get close to him without you having to be directly involved. We may have some allies or advantages close to him.
Do tell.
There are some associates of ours who I believe are working closely with him at the moment, and were there a way that we could approach him and speak with them, it shouldn't be hard for us to get close.
You're a wizard, yes.
And if this fails, you have lost nothing except a tool you didn't think you were going to have.
The trick would be getting close, and with that, I can help. It would require a sacrifice from one of you.
What kind of sacrifice?
The same sort of sacrifice Rasnisi himself underwent.
Question mark?
Go on.
Come on.
To become one of us.
Oh, I can be a goblin with a tail.
Don't you already? I was about to say.
Oh no, do goblins have tails? I didn't think so in my head.
What does this entail?
What was that roll?
That was Clara deciding if she was going to ask a perhaps inappropriate question.
What
Not better of
does,
it.
She thought better of it?
what does this entail?
You would undergo a ritual, at which time you would gain some of our strengths and some of our weaknesses, and you would be able to pass as one of us. You would become one of us.
Is this is this the only way you have of getting us close?
Yes, unfortunately, he is quite paranoid and rarely sees non-Yuan Ti.
If we did not approach him directly at first, but made contact with our allies, we might be able to give a better picture of the best way to approach him. I am confident that our allies have found favor with him.
Are you now?
Yes. Yes.
That's sort of what he does.
And this might, because if one of us becomes like you, if things don't go your way, it still casts shadow upon you and your conspirators, and our ally might not trust us if we show up with a stranger and say that it's our companion. We've been out of contact for a short period of time, and we don't know what's happened in between.
I see.
So, unless this needs to happen like right now, it might be better if we see if they
Sooner
have it out.
would be better. He has recently obtained several items of importance.
If
What?
you cubes.
Well, yeah, I know. I know what she's talking about, but
Our cubes.
If we could be given at least enough time to approach our allies and see if they have any alternatives. As far as I know, they have not been working with you or your kin. So they may have other avenues that we don't have at the moment.
Wait, have you seen these people?
I'm not sure.
Flaming
One
red
who
hair.
looks like that.
Yeah, one who looks like that. Flaming red hair, cleaning problem.
Hey. I feel attacked.
You should be.
I don't believe I have.
Right. I don't think that they have been. I don't think Rasnisi has brought them to you. I would assume he is as wary of you as you are of him, and has probably been holding things back just in case.
Well, that does present a bit of a problem then, doesn't
But lucky
it?
for you, we have the ability to find out what he has planned. You are fortunate enough, we have just stumbled into your hands.
Roll me a persuasion check.
This can only go well.
Can I get it? Ah, man.
No!
Not until we level up.
Alright, Keith, I have a question.
Yep.
I just rolled something.
Is this persuasion or is this deception? Because I don't actually know that Pyre is at all involved.
Your choice.
Okay.
Then deception it is.
That is a very good question, Chipper. She asks, where's the pizza?
Right?
Actually, no. I miswrote it down, so I got one left.
Oh, good.
Yeah, you should have as many as you have
So
your charisma.
yeah.
28.
Trying to remember Kuhani's stats.
Charisma is her high. I think she had an 18 in charisma.
Which would give her a +4. That's still not enough. Okay.
Well, and that wouldn't give her a plus to insight.
No, it wouldn't, would it?
No.
What was her wisdom?
Insight is wisdom. I don't remember her wisdom though.
Was she good at wisdom or bad?
She wasn't
She
bad,
wasn't
but
bad
I
at
don't
it.
remember her being particularly
Yeah.
good at it either.
At any rate, it's not enough. So. How would you go about getting in touch with your friends? You say you have been out of touch for quite some time.
Well, I assume that with your... I think we can approach the rest of Ross Nisi. If you know where he keeps his undead. We know that they came at least up to the city, if the Horde didn't come into the city with them. And they would probably be with them.
Fires.
The only place I can think of, because he does not yet have all of the keys to it, would be around the entrance to the Tomb of the Nine Gods.
If you could have some of your Yuan Ti escort us there, and our story will be that you discovered us, we told you that we were working for Ross Nisi already, and that you were bringing us there to verify or, explain and talk to the people we actually know, we might be able to get close enough to make contact with them. And if they're not there, we can at least track where they were from there. I know they were there with them at one point. They can't have gotten far, and we haven't met them in the city yet. So there's only so many places they can be at this point. They're not exactly subtle.
I will think on this thing, and I will speak with this man that you have asked for, and we will meet again later.
Would it be possible that we don't have to wallow in filth again? If we're going to be working together, I think we've already earned our trust. None of us tried to kill any of your kin.
We
I
really
know,
need a
we
good night's sleep.
only proved that we were here to help you. And yeah, if we don't get a good night's rest, we're not going to be much use to you.
That is a reasonable request.
For my own personal reference for later, what are the strengths and weaknesses of your people, just in case we have to resort to Plan B?
If he is
Oh,
one of
oh,
you,
oh.
we would probably do well to know what his strengths and weaknesses are, since
Happening in new bodies.
we don't know anything.
He's blue, you could be taller.
That's true.
Right? I can have a tail. I would look different than the other imposter.
They walk as fast as the rest of us.
I can understand your reluctance, but if you're going to send us in to deal with your problem, you would probably do well to give us as much of an advantage as you can. Otherwise, you're wasting a tool.
Well, in case one of us accidentally performs a ritual and turns into a Yuan Ti, just in case. It's good to know. I'm just
Accidents
saying,
do happen.
the more information we have access to, the better, of course.
Naturally, we have an affinity to and an immunity to poisons. We do also have the ability to change our shape and are somewhat resistant to magical effects.
fireball yourself, you take less damage.
Fair point.
So out of game, Keith, would we change our race?
Or is it like an add-on?
Or is it an add-on?
Or you lose control of your character.
Yeah.
Game over, man.
Yeah.
Yes, yes, and yes.
Just depends how Keith wants to do it.
I'm tempted to do it.
I'm pushing towards voluntary.
You actually would change your race and become a Yuan Ti pureblood
All individuals from Xanthar's
Fine.
or from Volos.
from Volos,
Is
yes.
that all that happens?
What?
You just change your race to Yuan Ti?
And your alignment to evil.
Well,
Hold on, let's
that's
see.
not all, but
Before we go.
But
Let's look at
Wow.
Volos, shall we, and see what MT do.
It's
no, it's a surprise.
It's not just that part of it that I would be concerned with.
Yep. You have to do it to find out.
Ooh.
She runs into her husband. She doesn't want to be a.
Well, as a good guy, I would probably volunteer.
Oh wow.
Yep.
They make super good paladins.
Well, I guess so.
Make decent warlocks too.
Yeah.
I mean, there could be worse things to turn into, like, you know, a boar, but...
anyway,
Nixon's
so there's that.
Okay.
So what do you guys?
I think we're resting.
Yeah,
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
All
I
right.
think we're taking a long rest.
An actual long rest.
I'm going to try to get this off.
Yep.
Oh, Lance.
My underclothes.
Good job on
are
negotiating.
stained.
That was pretty great.
Mhm.
Actually.
Okay. So you guys are.
Underway, but I might need to wait.
You guys are going to be. So you're going to be brought to this area here to rest. The door, the portcullis opens behind you and then slams shut behind you. You enter the area
Does
and
the door lock when it closes?
the door does lock behind you, obviously.
That much.
A fountain of cool water bubbles on the floor ahead of you. The scent of lilies fills the air, and silken drapes drift lazily in the heat. Archways open into shaded booths, heaped with cushions and trays of sugared sweets. Lounging about are a dozen scantily clad humanoids with eyes like snakes, and scaly patches on their arms, legs, necks, and backs. Watching over them are a pair of inhuman bipedal reptiles. You are resting in the harem.
Could be worse.
Could be worse. Could be worse.
Could be a pit and filth.
There are 11 Yuan Ti purebloods. I'm sorry, there are 12 Yuan Ti purebloods and 2 Yuan Ti brood guards.
We're gonna have a talk.
I think I'd like the bit of filth more.
I'm just gonna start talking to the people who can speak it in Dwarven. And I'm just conversationally talking, and I'm trying to gauge if any of the Yuan Ti can understand it. And I will. Do I suddenly? I don't know. I'll try and just look at Clara and try and get the message across to see if anyone can tell what I'm talking about.
I'll speak back to you in Dwarven.
And the two dwarves will speak.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm just babbling nonsense.
So at this point, alright, what, you
I'm
got the
gonna say,
shackles
you
off?
really don't, like,
No, I don't.
our lessons didn't
No,
work.
you're still shackled.
Our lessons did not work very well, did they? You still have not picked up the basic fundamentals of Dwarven conversation, no matter how hard we try.
You're serious.
Have you listened to him?
My name is Gideon. The dog goes moo. Things run. Water flowing swiftly down
Why
the
would you
stream.
stop this?
This
It's
is
just
good.
entertainment.
Yeah, right. Jan sees a dog. Jan runs to the dog. The dog barks.
So, Clara, I'm assuming you want to take it upon yourself to educate him in our language.
Well, so we're playing off of. We're trying to read them, like read everybody in the room. So, no, we've been trying. I've been trying to teach you, but this is what I get. I try to
The
teach you.
blue cat walks through the door.
I don't know anything.
Every freaking day. This nonsense.
As you guys are sort of having this nonsense conversation, it does not appear as though anyone in the room has is listening in. I mean, they've taken notice of you guys coming in, obviously, but they don't seem to be reacting at all to the conversation.
So,
Sorry, go ahead.
I'm gonna say in Goblin, I'll tell Sploof, hey, we're just talking to see if anybody knows and can listen to what we're saying.
And somebody speaks Goblin.
I was about to say, they might also speak Goblin, you idiot.
Anyway.
Whisper it.
Are we able to clear one of the booths, or does the Yuan Ti harem insist upon remaining in our booth?
You can actually clear one of them.
I didn't think that'd be hard. I don't think they're our type.
Well, one or two of them sort of eyes you guys up and down a little
We're
bit,
so
but
filthy.
yeah.
Mhm.
Make
They were
Well,
you guys make me a perception check.
I mean, there's water, we can clean ourselves off a little bit. Yeah, that one.
No, okay, so no.
17
17,
14.
14.
Now with observant, does that increase my
plus 5 it.
To your
Okay,
passive.
plus- But
No,
just
no,
to my
not to his passive. Just you add it on top, I believe.
No, observant increases your passive perception.
Well, I got confused because it says it increases your passive investigation too, but that's just your investigation skill modifier.
Oh, well, it would be
So-
10 plus your
Yeah, it's
proficiency
10
if you
plus
have
your.
it, and
The
plus
passive is 10 plus the modifier. It's
Okay,
not the
okay,
modifier
cool.
itself.
So in that case, it's still just gonna be 14.
14,
Unless Keith says you can use your passive.
23. Okay.
His
Do you
prerogative.
want me to use my passive instead? It's not gonna be much
and
better
if
than
we're
that.
using passive, I'm down to 19.
I mean, my pass would be a whole lot better, but
Anyway.
what do you want?
So most of you guys are more concerned about getting clean. Clara, as you're sort of bending over the fountain to try and get some of the blood off, you glance around, and one of those purebloods seems awfully interested in you guys.
So I'm going to. I'm awfully dirty. If you would help me, it's very difficult to clean myself without contaminating the water in the middle.
Of course. And she sort of slides over to you.
Isn't she, yeah, indoors. Isn't she married?
You don't know how she
I
shaves.
understand you.
That's kind of the point.
And so the Yuan, she actually, before she comes over, she reaches back into one of the alcoves and brings out a small wash basin and dips it into the fountain, pulls it out, and begins using the water to clean you off.
Oh, could you get just like
And
above
she
the
leans-
shoulder blade?
And she leans in a little bit. Have you seen Claudius?
Oh, yes, right there. Yes.
And make me a perception check.
Ooh. Ooh.
What?
Wow, that is impressive.
What's impressive?
12.
That.
That's pretty bad.
So as you're looking down, showing her to get the hand sort of ripples a little bit.
Oh.
Yeah, that's impressive.
They've infiltrated. The Wizard of Fame infiltrated.
Oh.
Yes, please, right there. sometimes it's really hard to get these itches out. But, you know, we have to try. Oh, thank you.
Okay.
Just a really awkward conversation for
So
anybody else.
Yeah, like Sploof is just looking and going, what?
So in Dwarven,
Let it play. Let it play.
so what's the plan?
Oh, thank you. I do appreciate that.
Well,
Would you...
If you need anything else this evening, just let me know.
Anything you say?
Yes.
Will you follow... And I'm going to gesture back towards the room we've gotten cleared.
I really shouldn't, but sure.
so again, it's Dwarvish, and I don't know if my sister speaks Dwarvish. Well, if nothing else, my sister's going to enjoy this.
Things you didn't know you didn't
And
want to know.
she steps into the room with you guys, turns and grabs the curtains and slides them closed. And as she turns around, she drops the facade. And what you see in front of you is a doppelganger. And that is where we're going to call it for the night.
They brought a doppelganger with them! What? What?
And so I hope you guys have had a lot of fun tonight. We are at the end of tonight's session. We're at the end of tonight's session. We thank you so much for joining us. Just a few reminders. You can watch all of our back episodes on our YouTube channel, which is right there. We've got all the back episodes, everything that we've done right up until now, all 30 episodes of the Glassbreakers Guild. In addition to that, we do also have a couple of other sessions. We had a long stretch there where we were doing some one-shots, some two-shots when Braden was running things. I think we did a couple of games of Shadowrun that Lance did for us. All of that is on the YouTube channel. You can check that out. Come along and have some fun with us. We've also got a series called Cover Your Assets, which we really need to circle back around to at some point, guys.
Yeah.
Now that we're like here, we'll definitely be doing more of those. With Cover Your Assets, we create custom content for Dungeons and Dragons 5th edition.
A lot we need to go over.
We do also have our Discord channel wherein you can get news and information about this channel as well as the channels that Kyrie and Danny also run, and as soon as Nate and Braden and anybody else really here at the table get started doing some more stuff, we'll put them on that and you can get all that information as well. Don't forget, we've also got our little in-player in-character tavern where any of your role-playing characters from any type of system can come together and interact with any others from anybody else. Feels like a lot of fun. It hasn't been as active lately, but we are going to get back into it as soon as the moving and organizing and getting everything put together is done. Finally, as a great big thank you to Chipper Snacks. She was kind enough to do us a lovely logo. I showed it off on the last stream. The Redbubble link that I just put up there has got your source for that on any kind of merchandise you want, and that is all for Chipper because we think that was just so amazing. T-shirts, hoodies, notebooks, all kinds of fun stuff. I foresee hoodies in my future. I don't know about the rest of you guys because that was just so totally awesome. So go check that out. It's a really, really cool thing wherein she has done an illustration of our closing phrase, which is, when you have a hammer, everything looks like a glass house. And with that, we wish you very farewell, fond good night, and we will see you right back here next week. Thanks, guys.